It only takes 6 months to completely transform your life. And all you have to do is ask yourself a few questions and live as them radically for 180 days. This is the work that it's going to take to help you get ahead of 99% of other people in life. Because the deep, dark, musty, awkward work that it takes to become all that you can be is the work that's going to create an extraordinary life, and it's the work that everyone avoids. So, to preface, I'm gonna ask you some deep questions. And if you're looking for the quick fix, the business you can start overnight, the try this on and see how it goes and make $1 million strategy, this isn't for you. But if you're finally at that point in life where you're ready to commit wholeheartedly to all that you can be, and you know your greatness, this is the catalyst. These are the questions, this is the deep work to get you on the path to getting ahead of other people, to living a life without constraint in the freedom of creativity, of trust, and of just like, fuck you to the system that's trying to keep you small, you know? So I have, I think, 8 questions, and I wrote them down, so I'm gonna be looking at a journal. And I'm just gonna run through them, and I'm gonna prompt them to you and elaborate on how they can change your life. So if that sounds good, I'll share a little bit about myself. My name's Kev. I'm a creative strategist. I'm an award-winning furniture designer, and I help ambitious creatives design and build a business that they love, that's aligned on their purpose and is deeply fulfilling to the work they want to bring into the world. So without further ado, let's dive right in. The very first question you need to ask yourself, this is the baseline fundamental question I ask everyone who wants to work with me, people I have conversations with in the streets, and what I say time and time again on this channel. Is today the day you're going to step into your power or not? It really begins with this binary choice. There are so many choice points that we face in our life as humans, as creative beings, every single day. I mean, they say that we face 35,000 decisions every single day. That's insane. Now, they're not necessarily all choice points that are really conscious, but those are the amounts of decisions we make. As far as this choice point of stepping into your power, it's a yes or a no each and every single day. And I would argue it's a no until finally one day it's a conscious yes and you feel it in your body. But a lot of people aren't ready. A lot of people want to distract themselves, look outside of them for the answer, for their purpose, for something to save them, and they're not willing to do the work. And that's okay. I've been there, everyone's been there. But when you realize that it's a non-negotiable quality, it's a non-negotiable mission in your life to do the work to become all that you can be, to become fully resourced, empowered, and living in the embodiment of your truth. Until you get there, I don't know what to say. So if now is that moment, if you're ready to step into your power, let's keep moving on. So the second question that you need to ask yourself is, what is my deepest purpose? In other words, why the fuck am I here? And it's absolutely okay to not know why you're here. I just made a video on how to live your purpose, how to discover your niche, how to just embody it profoundly. Go watch that video to help you with a just step-by-step, deep kind of calling into your purpose. But this is the fundamental baseline of which everything on top of your life is going to be built. So once you make the decision to step into your power, then comes, what is my purpose? Why am I here? And if I don't know what it is, how can I discover it? That's going to require you to minimize distractions, get rid of stuff that you know you're numbing with, to cut potentially people out of your life, or just communicate really clear boundaries to some people, to call back, reclaim your energy, your precious attention to your own heart, to your own soul. Not to building somebody else's dream, not to helping somebody do something just because you're busying yourself, whatever it is, or God forbid you just looking for answers scrolling social media all day. If you do that, have compassion for yourself, but get sharp with yourself too. Get really honest. Is the way my life is designed helping me become more of who I want to be or not? Again, one of those binary questions. There's some nuance, of course. I love nuance. But when it comes down to your purpose, you really got to get raw and real with yourself. The big question that I won't go too in depth on is to allow yourself to feel the deep amount of pain that is beneath the confusion, not knowing your purpose, not knowing what your niche is, not knowing how to devote wholeheartedly to something. But to learn to know your purpose is what everything else is going to be built on in life. So literally your life depends on it. So whatever you're doing in your life right now, you can devote 3-6 months to radically pursuing what that is, because that will change the trajectory of your entire life. Most people don't stop to ask themselves what their true purpose is until the midlife crisis, until the health crisis, until their best friend dies, whatever it is. God forbid those things. I wish those upon nobody. But life will give us those experiences and those circumstances to shock us into, hey, remember why you're here, remember who you are, remember how freaking powerful you are. So that's a tangent I would love to go down another time. But to know your purpose, or to be devoted to the process of getting to know it, is what no one else is doing. So it feels really lonely. It feels really isolating. It feels like nobody would understand you. You're going to be misunderstood. People are going to think you're crazy. Why the hell are you gonna go in the woods for 2 weeks? Or why the hell don't you want to come hang out on a Friday night? Whatever the heck it is, right? And not that you have to abstain from worldly pleasures and desires. No, by no means, right? But you got to get real with yourself. You got to get real with yourself and discover what's the core essence of why I'm here and how can I bring more of it into my life? Which leads to the next question. What will it take to devote wholeheartedly and with wild abandon to my purpose? What happens when we discover something profound is twofold. It alters us and it changes us, and we are forever just committed and devoted to that path. Excuse me. Sometimes your deepest purpose is just to answer the phone and have your buddy come and mourn about the death of a loved one and just cry with him. That's devotion. That's wholehearted devotion to embodying your purpose, not just knowing it, but to embodying it. You can't predict what's going to happen when you're in your purpose. The devotion to becoming all that you can be is to accept the call that life is presenting you. To be in your purpose and accept that I might be filming a YouTube video right now about how to embody your purpose and change your life. I know you might be thinking that's important, Kev, but I'm going to give you something that's way more important than that. Holding a dear brother, crying in each other's arms. So that's wild. That just happened, but kind of beautiful and on point. So, yeah, life works in some really miraculous, extraordinary, mysterious ways to help you deepen your connection with yourself, with your purpose. So moving on from that wholehearted devotion, is what pain, fear, and emotion am I avoiding in my life? And how can I feel it and love it radically? If you feel like you aren't where you want to be, if you're not getting the results that you want to get, if your relationships are failing, if your business isn't quite where it wants to be, there's a certain amount of stuck energy that is in your system waiting to be liberated. The problem is it's just years and years and years of suppression, of conditioning, of numbing that calcifies those fears, those emotions, that stuckness in the system. And if you want to be great, if you want to live an extraordinary life, you have to do the warrior's work of going into those places and fully feeling the pain that's there, fully feeling that emotion, the grief, the anger, the sorrow, the unmet yearning for your desires, right? One of the greatest skills you can develop is one, the willingness to meet head on your deepest shadows and fears and emotions. And inside of that, creating a certain amount of what's called emotional fluidity, where you allow your emotional state to just pass through you with your collaboration. And emotional fluidity doesn't mean being an emotional wreck all the time, but it's knowing how to hold your own experience. It's knowing how to hold the masculine pull of, there's something coming up for me right now, I need to take 5 minutes, creating a container, and then allowing the kind of emotion, the feminine expression move through you while knowing, I got you, like I got me. And that way nothing gets stuck. If it's a minor frustration at work, if it's something sad that happens throughout your day, allowing yourself the right, the birthright and pleasure to feel that, to get that moving and mobilized and letting it change you and purify you and make you more whole and complete. That is such an extraordinary skill that people aren't willing to cultivate because it's scary to embrace your emotions. It's scary to open to these fears. It's scary to let yourself be completely vulnerable, not knowing who you're going to be on the other side of expressing that anger, of expressing that grief. I know for me, a fear that I experienced when I was in this deep season of grief is like, am I going to come back from this? Like, what is normal? Like, am I ever going to be me again? And the answer is, yeah, you're going to be even better than you. You're going to be even better than who you thought you could be. But it's warrior's work, right? Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, it's warrior's work. The deep work of sitting with your pain, your discomfort, your discontent, getting angry about why am I not where I want to be in life, and feeling the fullness of that, so that then it is liberating. It liberates you. The full embrace of that emotion liberates you back into wholeness and joy with the wisdom of, say, the anger, the grief, the sorrow, so that you can use that to create the life that you desire. I can't stress enough how important it is to allow yourself to feel the pain, not just avoid it and try to find the next best thing or the thing that's going to solve all your answers. Feel the depth of your pain, people. And I know it sucks. Like, that is like the worst advice to give somebody. It's the worst advice for a business owner, for me trying to help people on YouTube, is to feel your pain. But I kid you not, like, if you're willing to devote yourself to doing that work, you're going to become a wildly powerful, abundant, fucking badass human being, whoever you are. Enough said about that. Next question, if we're keeping track, this is 5. What does the world crave from me? This is such a huge reframe. As much as I do believe and resonate with this sort of masculine capacity to direct, to sort of, for lack of a better word, penetrate the world with your gifts, with your presence, with your creativity, there is a certain awareness that we need to have of, what does the world want of me? Not what do I want from the world. It's this difference between taking and giving. We don't want to take from the world. We want to know what the world wants of us and give it fully. And just touch it and love it fully. The problem is, there's nothing wrong with being selfish, and there's nothing wrong with wanting or taking. Beautiful. They have forms that can be really healthy, right? But there's the very unhealthy wanting, the really unhealthy taking. And we get stuck in that sort of first stage of, what can I get out of life? I want to get the most out of life. What about, how can I give the most to life so that life has no choice but to meet me in that giving? Because we live in a reciprocal universe. We live in a universe where there's an equal action and reaction. I give fully, life will give back to me. It may not be that day. There's a time lag in the way that things like manifestation work and what I call getting skin in the game. We have to show that we're devoted, that we're here, that we're becoming, that we're in this process of giving without expectation, because it is our mission to show up in this way. eventually life will meet you there. Maybe it's immediately, maybe it's a week, maybe it's a year. For me, it usually takes somewhere between 6 to 12 months of me pursuing something, as in like, I'm gonna give this gift to the world, I'm gonna apply myself here. It takes really 6 to 12 months to start to see the benefits of that. One, the noticeable change in my own system. Two, the sort of, if it's business, this is business related, the financial rewards, the financial abundance from that. And then three, the sort of, the alchemical opportunistic thing where all of a sudden you become a magnet for opportunities. It takes commitment, right? So asking yourself, what does the world crave of me? Helps you reframe, how can I be in my purpose and give? Not use my purpose to take, not use my power to take, but use my power to give. Nobody's fucking doing that. Everyone's trying to get something, and they might get great things. They might get the money that you want, the little beach sack that you want, that you should have put an offer on, that you didn't, whatever it was. But when we learn to give fully, we give everything now, we hold nothing back, we know that this is what I'm here to do, so there's no choice really. Now that I know this is what I'm here to do, I have to do it. Life is gonna meet that in ways that are beyond what you can comprehend. Beyond what you can comprehend. So are you going to commit to asking yourself the more expansive question as what does the world crave from me and how can I meet it? Let's move it on here. How can I satisfy life's desires of me and get paid for it? That's the cherry on top. So life desires something from you. And the way that you can embody your willingness to meet that desire and use the skill, this is where everything you've learned comes into play. How can you use all of the skills you've acquired throughout your life to artfully, and I mean, again, forgive the analogy, but like to artfully penetrate the world in a way that sustains your life and expands your life abundantly, right? So this is where we take all of the skills that we've learned, the design, the creativity, the photography, the copywriting, the web design and formatting, the communication, all of those things. And we say, oh, life, like I get what you're saying. And I'm gonna add one more thing on top of it. I'm gonna make an artful business for the world. I'm gonna make an artful career. Now you don't have to, right? But it's just a bonus if you can meet life's desire and get paid for it. That is like, that's as good as it gets right there, right? I am meeting life, if that's something you desire. I am meeting life where life wants to be met and I'm getting paid for it and I'm giving value, I'm impacting the world. It doesn't get any better than that as far as giving your gifts to the world. To know that I get the fulfillment of sharing my gifts and holy shit, life is rewarding me. That is about as good as it gets. It takes a lot of work to get to that place. But this is where we get to play and explore with all the skills that we've gathered in our life. With all of the schooling, for lack of a better system, all of the schooling we went through, all of the things that we were passionate about learning about on our own behalf, Eastern philosophy, yogic sexuality, one-person businesses, how to communicate with clients, how to design thoughtful architecture, all of those things, right? That's where we get to play. That's where we get to use, this is the domain that we get to play with our skills in a way that we get to impact the world and get paid for it. I mean, come on, that's as good as it gets. That's what everyone's after, right? At least if you're watching it, not everyone, but for people that are watching this. So number 7. What do I need, or who do I need to surround myself with so that I ensure that I can become all that I can be? There's that age-old quote, you're the average of the 5 closest people in your life. Absolutely true, which is why look at old people and their dogs. They literally start to look like each other because the proximity, you just become each other. Same thing with couples. They slowly kind of start, their faces almost slowly morph into looking more like each other. It's really fascinating. And then like the studies they've shown where if one person in a group starts to get overweight, the likelihood of everyone else in the group getting overweight like triples or something like that. Or if some person in the group is a millionaire, makes $1 million, the other people are sort of naturally rise, right? So this has a light and a shadow, but I'll use the sort of light side of it. Me choosing to liberate myself and to rise into all that I can be, by proxy invites everyone around me to rise. Like liberation for one is liberation for all. That can be taken in the wrong way, I realize that. Let's talk about in the sense of me liberating myself from stories of shame, from stories of playing small, from stories of self-abandonment, and wanting to step up to play bigger in my business. I do that work, I rise, I start to become more magnetic because I'm dissolving my shame, feeling the anger that's beneath it, getting to a clean relationship with that anger, right? And all of a sudden my business is impacted because I'm more present, I'm more empowered, I'm more confident, I can charge more. People around me are going to be impacted in those ways as well. It also might trigger them, that's totally part of it. But it goes to show that the power of who you surround yourself with is so important. Imagine if you're one of the people being impacted by that person's decision. That's the people I want in my life, right? I want people that are playing that inner game so strong and killing it in the outer game, because it makes it inevitable that you yourself will also be sharpened. So surrounding yourself with high value people that inspire you, who also challenge you and sharpen you, not just tell you what you want to hear, that don't just encourage you. Maybe that's good for a time, but if you're anything like me, I'm in this season where I want to be sharpened. It's like all of my brothers, it's like, show me my own ass, right? Show me my blind spots. Like, dude, how do you see the situation? What am I not seeing? Like, honestly, man, call me out. Like, I feel like there's, what's wrong with me, right? Or not what's wrong with me, but like, why do I feel this? Like, why do I feel like I just can't get there? What am I not seeing? Like, lovingly challenge me and call me out, because that makes you better. That just catapults you. I mean, that's the first verb. I'm just thinking of like, you know, taking a deep step back to just like shoot way over the moon. That's what really catapults you into just tremendous growth. That's how you get ahead of 99% of people, right? Surrounding yourself with that 1%. Surround yourself in your local community or in your online spaces, ideally both, with people who inspire the fucking heck out of you and who challenge you. And that might require you know, going and joining a men's group, or if you're like me, having to, where's the freaking men? Okay, I need to facilitate a group. Or that might you might need to go seek something like somatic therapy, or you might have to pay good money to go work with a mentor, someone who inspires you. If there's someone out there, if there's, for me, like there's people online that I'm inspired by, it's like, okay, if I want to be inspired and expanded, I'm going to pay you money to get some of your presence, to see, and not putting that person up on a pedestal, but it's like, hey, expand me. I'll gladly pay you to be expanded. That's what it might take, right? If the people in your life are devoted to their purpose, their mission, and becoming more of who they can be, all that they can be, you will naturally do the same. So what if that's your default, right? That's the power. But the problem is, most people just want to stay in their comfortable lives, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But to a certain point, you can only live in that pattern of comfort. Like after 5, 6, 7 years of the same pattern of, oh, on Friday nights, this is what we do. And I don't really like drinking anymore, but I still go drinking, and nothing against alcohol. I love a glass of wine. But you get the analogy, right? Like at some point you want to be expanded. You want to like go have coffee with that guy and his wife, because man, they're just on something else. They are so deeply committed to a powerful union. I want to learn about that. Like, dude, this guy is always buying the coolest properties and turning them into like really cool artist spaces. Like, I need to get to know this guy, whatever it is. And that can be literally a conversation, right? There's such a low barrier to entry. Now again, like I said, you might want to go pay great money to work with a mentor, or you might see someone in the street and just have a conversation. So do not be afraid to put yourself vulnerably in a position where like, man, like I'm inspired by you. Like, would you like to just like one day sit and grab a coffee? I'd love to hear some of your life story. that can be it, right? That can be the start of a powerful relationship. You know, and don't even get me started about the power of having a mentor. I mean, it should be unspoken, but I'll speak it now. It's like you need to get yourself a mentor. And with the means to doing that, I don't know. Life usually just kind of presents it when you open yourself, right? It's like when the student is ready, the teacher appears. But put it in your consciousness, maybe write it on a piece of paper, put it on your sacred little space, whether that's a table or an altar or your wallet or your background of your phone, so that it's at the top of your conscious awareness, so that you'll begin to notice it as it presents itself. All right, let's finish up with the last one that I realize isn't a question, it's a statement. It's create like your life depends on it, because it does. You are a creative being. Life is creativity. By nature, creativity is rewarded in the marketplace. From the squirrel that figures out how to do a super cool flip-de-dip-de-dip-de-doo to get out of the snake's grip, or the human that's able to collaborate with life in a creative way and get fucking paid for it handsomely. Life is creative. Creativity is rewarded. Are you in the process of creating? Creating can be everything from depth in your conversations. I am devoted to creating depth in my conversations. I will not settle for bullshit. Oh yeah, I'm good today. It's like, is that an authentic good? Great invitation for depth. That's a devotion of you. That is an example of you being devoted to creating, in the sense of, I want to create depth in my conversations. Or if it's physical, it's like, I'm gonna make an artifact every day. I've been making these charcoal drawings. Every day I'll sit down and I'll make a couple charcoal drawings. I'm devoted towards creating these videos for people to help expand, inspire, and give a roadmap to what it's like to live a fulfilled life and create a business from that place. And then it also fuels my business. It also gets people in the door to my world, so it's sort of like that win-win, and I'm creating. So what are you creating each and every single day? Because your life literally depends on it. You're either creating something that is in alignment with who you are, or you're either consciously creating or you're unconsciously creating, or God forbid, consuming. Granted, consuming's not wrong. You're here with me now, you're consuming this content, but this could be helping you create a vast multitude of things, right? So you're either consciously creating or you're unconsciously creating, which is usually a lack thereof. I'm creating mediocre conversations. I'm creating mediocre work because my career doesn't really inspire me, whatever it is. But get really honest with yourself about, how can I create with all of me today? Like, that's why today I'm just feeling particularly passionate. And then I also had a powerful moment with my brother earlier. Not my actual brother, but I consider brother, man. And it's like, that stuff gets me alive. So you're getting some of that energy, and it's like, that's the quality of creation. Now, obviously, we can't get that every single day. It's a discipline, it's a practice. Some days we're not gonna be on it, right? But to be devoted to creating space for that to happen, right? So create like your life depends on it, because it does. So those 7 questions in one statement are gonna facilitate the deep work that it takes to completely transform your life in 6 months. It's what nobody's willing to do, which is the very thing that you ought to do if you want to get ahead of 99% of other people. So this is my offering to y'all. I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope this fired you up. If it's too intense, I get it, but I hope that maybe just one person will be impacted by this. So if you're that one person, I'd love to know how this touched you. Leave a comment below, share what your process is like, what your purpose is, how you're gonna find it, what you're doing. I wanna know. And if you haven't, please subscribe. There'll be plenty more where this came from. So appreciate y'all. Ciao.